February 9th, 2008 was the worst day of my life. My girlfriend Laura planned a birthday party for me. She and I and a bunch of our friends went out in downtown Baltimore and we hung out at the bars. We were drinking and I made the really bad decision at the end of the night to try to drive us home. And on I-97 outside of Annapolis, I flipped my car and hit a guardrail, and the impact killed Laura. I was flown to shock trauma in the medevac and woke up a few hours later. Didn't really know what had happened. They sent a chaplain to meet with me in the hospital, and that's when I learned that Laura was dead and that it was my fault. People talk about moments and time periods like that feeling surreal, and I don't think I ever really understood what that meant. But you really do kind of enter this very dreamlike fog where things take on kind of a hazy quality, but at the same time your senses are really heightened. One of the things that I think happens when you get a shock like that is you really have no idea what to do. And in that moment I thought, well, I'll just go home. And I called my mom and said, I was in a car accident. I'm in the hospital. Laura died. You don't have to come here. I'm just going to go home. And she said, no, you absolutely are not going home. I'll be right there. After a while, I left the hospital and I went home with my dad. And I can really remember vividly kind of pulling these chunks of glass out of the side of my head. And I don't know why that part of it has always really stuck with me. I pled guilty to negligent homicide, and I was sentenced to 90 days in jail in Anne Arundel County and 5 years of probation. And a lot of the guys I was with were in jail for 9 months, 18 months. A lot of them it was for drugs or stealing to support a drug habit. And they couldn't believe that I was there for 90 days when I took somebody's life. And they were there for 9 months, a year, for things that we'd all probably agree were much less serious. There was a lot of grief, and it was very complicated because I also was the person who caused this. Laura was the first girl that I loved. She was my best friend for 3 years before we ever started dating. And it took me a lot of courage for me to work up the nerve to tell her how I really felt about her, which was, a lot more than just wanting to be friends. 3 of the best years of my life were the ones that I got to spend as her boyfriend, and then was looking forward to marrying her. For me, it was not that easy to let go of it myself. I still think about Laura every single day. When something like this happens, our natural instinct is to want to be mad at somebody. Well, I was mad at me. I was mad at me for a really long time. And when I missed her, I knew whose fault it was that she was gone. And it doesn't happen all at once. You learn to appreciate things about yourself again, and to understand that horrible thing you did doesn't define you. But I can't really point to a day where I would say, that's the day I finally forgave myself. It's just been a time where it hurts a little less over time. And you realize that you've done some good things too.